We're rolling. Awesome. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to get right into it here. I have two special guests with me today, who actually they're on the one and only CD I ever did called Dream, and I love this CD. I never liked anything I recorded until this. So, but I have two friends with me who I respect greatly. Scott Kinsey and Mer Sal are my guests today. And it's so good to see you both again, man. I've actually never met you, Mer Sal. I've not met you in person, but we've communicated a lot for almost 2 years. Scott, you and I got to be in the studio a couple times in your house and just hang out and had so much fun. I had a blast recording this CD.
Yeah, man. Me too.
I really appreciate
Me three.
Appreciate so much what you both did on this. It just, right from the get-go, it just starts off with, Here to Love You, and boom, there she is singing. And it's amazing.
Yeah, it's remarkable, I think,
I feel fortunate.
Came out. And because I mean, at one point that tune was I don't know, I kind of thought maybe we should cut it.
Why don't you? It's because I played drums on it. It's true. I swear to God, I could not get my shit together on that thing. No, but
that is really not the reason. I just felt like I just couldn't understand what was going on. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, and actually Jeff Richmond went to Bali or Indonesia or somewhere, and he was not available. So, I mean, I was just looking at it and I was just kind of like, I just don't get this tune. I mean, that was way before Mer sang on it or anything. I mean, nobody was on it. But
I get it.
Yeah. But
so that's before any of the tracks were done, right? It's before anything was recorded.
Oh yeah, no, nothing was done. We were just kind of working on material, and I just going, do we really need to do this tune? I didn't get it, and I even listening to the original one, I just kind of thought, yeah, it's okay, but I didn't really feel it. But I stuck with it, and suddenly I could see it. Mm-hmm. I don't know how that happens, but suddenly I could picture it, and it turned out to be probably one of my favorite tunes on the record.
Well, it's interesting because, and of course I was being a little self-deprecating a couple minutes ago. I tend to be like that because it's fun.
We all are. We're all self-deprecating. We're musicians. That's what we do.
I had a conversation about that recently with Steve Hunt, the keyboard player.
Yeah.
And how Alan Holdsworth and him and a lot of us though, and you're all on a different level than I am. I'm just a guy, but still, I want to do my best. It's always a journey because you never actually get there, right?
Well, yeah, right.
You never really get there.
No, it's all about
more. There's more in you that has to come out, and so we want to get it out. But then I played on that song though. I played, and I hadn't played in years, so I really sucked. I mean, it was so hard to get. I had like a super heavy, kind of slightly behind the beat groove going on. I couldn't get in the pocket, and I couldn't play on the edge. I just couldn't do it. And when you sent me, Jimmy sent me something with Archibald on it. Holy crap, man! The energy was there. It needed that. That was beautiful.
Well, it's just funny how things come together, because when you played on it, the tune was in one shape, one condition. And I hadn't really worked on it at all. I hadn't really done anything yet. And then I started working on it, and I was just pulling my hair out. And finally, I mean, just because I was dealing with Jeff's original tracks and then your drum part, and then but nothing really gelled, And so as I was working on it, Archie just came, because Archie was staying at my place at that time. And Archie just walked in and he goes, "What you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm working on this tune, but I'm not really sure how to go forward with it. And I'm thinking about just cutting it." And he said, "Well, do you want me to just do a little pass?" I said, "Well, I don't know what the point would be because you're not on this." But I just said, "Okay, just take a pass," And so he went in and he played one, and then he played another one. He played two passes. And I just thought, well, that's kind of focusing it in a direction, which I thought we needed to go in. So with the parts I had done and with what he just played, then I went, okay, now this tune sort of makes sense. And it isn't that what you played wouldn't have made sense or wouldn't have worked, but I didn't have you there with me to go back. And at the time that I had made new parts, in other words, your old drums that you had recorded in the studio didn't really work anymore with the new stuff I was putting down.
I totally get it.
See what I mean? So, and then you weren't really available to come in and track. So I just went, okay, I think we have to go this way. And I'm really happy that, like, you know, that you agreed with that, and we could just continue to, you know.
You know, all I just wanted to do is put something out that had a purpose, and, you know, any of the money we get goes to the foundation I started anyways. Same thing for the book that I wrote, another book coming out this next month. And so that's been really good for sending a positive message, positive energy and vibes, and great music. And it's funny because Jimmy Hazel called me, and we were just about done with everything, but right after Archibald tracked this, I guess he must have had it totally or pretty much together. He was like stumbling for words. It's like, well, I don't know how to tell you this, but like your drum part just didn't work. I don't care. It's okay, dude. But that was you guys put, especially you and Jimmy, put a lot of work into this thing, man. And
I mean, I would agree with that. We did. We put a lot of time and effort into the overall project, overall record, because, well, that's just how we operate, you know. And I'm proud of it. I think it's a beautiful record. I really love it.
I do too.
And I mean, Mer was incredible on it, on everything that she sang.
Totally.
And
Jimmy had been talking. Jimmy had been talking about you for like well over 6 months prior to me coming out there the first time. So this is like 2.5 years ago. The idea started up with Jeff saying we were going to jam when I come out to teach in LA, the Parkinson stuff.
I really got lucky.
I said, dude, I can't jam. I haven't played in like years, and I would be terrible. He says, yeah, it doesn't matter. There's a studio. Let's just go. Maybe Jimmy will want to play. And then it turned into a thing, right? So, yeah.
Oh,
so he was talking about you that whole time.
Did this project actually start with Jeff?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Jeff Parkinson's, you know?
Oh.
Yeah, so Jimmy had introduced me about 3 years ago to Jeff, and I have a bunch of CDs right here. I mean, I had been following him for like 25 years, probably. Kind of like I've been following you for about the same amount of time, and I got all the Travel Tech stuff. I had a bunch of stuff, right? Both of you, but I didn't know you would even be a part of this at that time, either one of you. But as soon as Jeff said,
we didn't either.
I want to come to your workshop, man, when you teach in LA.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, just be my guest, man. I just show up. You're my guest. Because he deals with Parkinson's. So I'd been helping him, though, like, you know, every couple of weeks on a phone call or something, or a video. And, you know, what can we do to manage tremors? What can we do to manage, you know, walking and not falling and cognition? And so he said, we have to jam. And that's how it turned into a project, though. See, he called Jimmy, and Jimmy said, yeah. And then Jimmy called me, and he said, okay, well, we're going to get Scott Kinsey. And there's this girl. She's really, really good. This lady in Colorado. She's going to be a part of it somehow. So, and the rest is history, man. Yeah, so it's really cool. Yeah. Yeah, I had a friend of mine called me up the other day, said, what the hell's going on Song for Barry? That's the coolest version ever. But
right on.
I love how that came out too, you know, with the voice things, whatever you did there with the samples. Very cool,
very
cool,
man. Yeah, well, you know, I don't know. I just kind of like use my imagination, and just wherever that takes me, you know, that's where we go, you know. I just knew one thing was on that song, I really wanted, because, you know, Peter Erskine was going to play on that tune.
Yeah.
And he did play on it, but it was said that he was going to play on it. And all I knew is that this was my big chance to work with Peter again, because I mean, I played with him a couple of times, but I never recorded with him in the studio. And I just knew one thing. I didn't want to do a Brecker Brothers version of that tune, even though I love the Brecker Brothers and I love what they did and I love how they played, you know, that's the quintessential version, but I really wanted to do more of a Weather Report kind of approach to it. Just because that's just one thing I love, and there's nothing like the way that Peter played with Weather Report. It was unbelievable, and I just kind of wanted to try to get something like that going on and using that tune as a, as a vehicle to do it. So I feel like we did it. I feel like, at the time that we recorded, we recorded one take, and I think we just did another take, and then Peter just said, okay, I guess we can move on. And I was thinking, oh my God, I felt like we were just barely getting started.
Me too.
I just didn't think we could move on yet, but that's just what he wanted to do. So just kind of went, okay. But
it was really interesting how that whole thing went down. You guys, you're the pros, all of you. You're the pros.
They are.
But Peter just nailed it. Of course,
he did.
He does that anyways. But and I'm in there. And I couldn't hear anything because I didn't have headphones on. I was walking around doing video because he didn't. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Go ahead. And he's playing. I can hear from what he's playing, kind of where he is in the song and all that. But I couldn't hear other things, and he couldn't hear a lot either because there was not much laid down yet. And look at the final outcome, though. It's
I know.
He just predicted all that was going to happen or something.
Yeah, but his first inclination was to play it like the Brecker Brothers did, and I remember at one point in the session he said, "Well, Michael and Randy seem to like it," and I was like, "Oh, come on, oh my God, really?" Because of course it was awesome, and that wasn't really my point, I just wanted to do another kind of version of the song, but I feel like we got what I was looking for, but I didn't realize it at the time. It wasn't until I went home and I started digging through the tracks and kind of putting it together where I went, oh, he gave me what I wanted. Mm-hmm. I just didn't know it yet. Yeah.
I have some really funny outtake video of that song.
Really?
Discussing things where Peter's
looking
to a charge that Scott Kinsey's getting all control freaky on me, and then Jimmy starts laughing, and we were all laughing so freaking hard because Peter has that dry sense of humor, cracks me up.
The thing is, I would never get control freaky at all, but I had a funny feeling I wasn't going to get many chances. So I really just wanted to convey my message. Like, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for more of a Weather Report approach, more of a this or that. And, kind of that more open, kind of I don't know. I was trying to convey what I was looking for without being control freaky. Really, that's what I was attempting.
And he was joking when he said it, but it was really funny though. It was so freaking funny. Yeah.
Anyways, I just in the end, I absolutely love what he played. It was completely brilliant. And Bob Reynolds is incredible on that tune as well.
Yeah, he sounds so good.
And Michael's position, not trying to be Michael, just being himself, but just playing great stuff. And of course, Jimmy on bass.
He does some really cool bass stuff in that, especially towards somewhere in the middle section where it's hanging for a bit before it goes in again.
Yeah. And then he goes into that serious groove.
Yeah, love it. So yeah, that was a highlight of my life, actually, to be out there to do this, and I'm so grateful for it. So I don't usually talk about time frames like where we are right now, but it's January 9th right now, 2021, and we have a pandemic. Yeah,
2 days after the big meltdown in Washington.
Oh, yeah, 2 days after a horrific thing in Washington. It's all coming to an end soon.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah,
totally. So here we are at this time, and since I've seen you, well, it's been a while, but last year, no one's gigging, nobody's touring.
No.
A lot of people are staying busy with production and tracking for people and all that, and that's cool. A little bit of studio stuff I'm hearing, but how are you doing during the pandemic? What are both of you up to right now, musically speaking, or otherwise? Do you have any projects happening?
Yeah, we have. Well, Mer and I are actually working on something together. We're working on our kind of what would you call it? Our isolation,
Isolation Partners record.
Our Isolation Partners record, because Mer is definitely my isolation partner.
Yeah.
And we're yeah, we've been really working hard on it for the last, so since the pandemic started, or a little bit before that, probably. And I would say it's almost done, actually. So we've been working really hard on that. Yeah, and let me see. There's, I guess, how many tunes do we have?
What, 11? Or well, yeah, 11, and 11. Maybe 12. We don't know.
Yeah, well, and there's good. You know, it's a bunch of tunes that she had written. I guess right before we got together, she wrote some tunes, and then we were together, but not. But
it was complicated.
Yeah, it was complicated, but like, so she had written a bunch of tunes, and we did pretty much all of them, and then we did a few covers. You know, we did one that Jimmy Haslip suggested, which is "Time Out of Mind" by Steely Dan.
Yeah,
love that one.
We did one of our personal favorites, which is a Beach Boys tune.
Yeah,
which, you know, I guess you might not think that we would, you know, like the Beach Boys, but this I really do. And this one song was super cool. What's it called?
It's called Feel Flows.
Yeah, Feel Flows.
And I've always wanted to cover this, and I never just had the umph to make it different. And I think Scott Kinsey's painted it in this sort of way that's really fun to sing over. So I'm really excited for that.
And Nir Felder played guitar on that track, and we have a lot of great guitar players.
Totally banging.
Scott Henderson played on track, and Osnoy played on another one. Pedro Martins played for us.
Oh wow!
All the best guys I can think of, you know, and of course Jimmy Haslip played bass on a tune.
Rockin', and he is the catalyst for why we all met each other.
Right.
Carl.
Yeah, he is.
Well,
Scott,
you are,
and me.
And then Jimmy is, and you know, yeah, it's. And you know, the funny thing is I was a little bit apprehensive before we did the session about Mer, just because I didn't know her. Just simply because I just didn't know her, and I just thought, well, yeah, I don't know.
When Scott walked into the studio that day, like I was in LA for like one day, and when he walked in, I was like, well, he's kind of arrogant, and then he smiled and he started talking, and I was like, well, maybe not.
I remember walking in the studio that day, and you were already all there, and you were all sitting there, and kind of everyone's eyes just kind of like looked up at like who just walked in the door.
That was at Paul's place?
What's that?
Yeah, Paul Taverner's.
Paul Taverner's, okay.
Oh, tell him about when we went back.
No.
We went back a year later at night.
I remember I think you either posted about it or you
she posted about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we went back to
Mer Sal, you sent me a thank you note though. I saying like, because of you, we've been together a year or something, and it was the 1 year. Yeah, you were back at the studio. Did you go?
We went back to the studio, and we knocked at the door, and it was late at night, and we just thought no one was going to be there. But she was just like, "Oh, what the hell?" And then she knocked at the door, and Paul opened the door.
Taverner opened the door.
Oh man, that's great.
And he probably thinks we're nuts. I mean, well, he wouldn't be far off, but
well,
I mean, that was a little bit random.
It's a great story, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
It's a great story. Yeah, a lot of good came out of this.
A lot of good came out of your record, not just the obvious things, but what's that?
I feel really good about it now.
Awesome.
Carl, I just think you're a person that just catalyzes and organizes and brings together good things, goodness, and help for people. So I still appreciate having met you.
Thank you. I never really thought about that. I don't think about that. I do it. It really just has to do with being around people that I like to be around.
Mm-hmm.
And then then there's the other aspect, not to get off track, because this is really about you guys, not me. But then there's the people we see who are in need of help, and that's why I started the foundation. So, but we have really good people. It's like a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
They're helping people in Uganda and Poland and Mexico and here in the United States, and being able to donate money and items and
Well, and when you
But
think
that
about
whole team of, you know, getting a team together to help to do this has been very, very cool. And I want to be around really good people. So I got
Well, you're
you,
so cool. You're cool and you're full of energy, and we love you.
Well, I
and,
love
you
both
know,
of you
and
too.
not to mention all the personal sacrifices that you made, even just to get to the point where we could make this record. Nobody understands
You're right.
what goes into it, and the fact that, like, you know, you took those trips to do your Parkinson's clinics in Singapore, or I don't know where you were going, and you had some health issues of your own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd never been in a hospital in my life other than to visit people, and when I was born, obviously. But until Singapore, you know, I go right for the blood clots, massive amount of blood clotting, from San Fran to Singapore, left leg above the knee, popliteal vein. But it was a 10-inch solid section, 10 inches of clot.
Oh my God.
I went directly to the Singapore General Hospital, and a 4-day trip ended up being 12 days because I was grounded from flying because of health, you know, risks. But you know what? I'm here, and I'm lucky, man. There are people way worse off than I ever was at in my worst point in my life. So, you know, I'm just trying
to illustrate that, you know, that might be true. That you are a lucky guy and you made it through a lot of this stuff, and it's incredible, actually, because it just seems like, in a way, it's one thing after the next. The latest thing is you went through COVID, which is incredible. But
COVID calamity.
God. Yeah, but, like, I mean, you stay standing, you stay strong, and you stay focused on the project. You know, you get the record done, you get the book done, you do all your in-person clinics, and you're teaching at the university, and all these things that you do. I think it's pretty amazing.
I think if you knew me 10 years, 15 years ago, you might not want to know me. But, you know, a lot has changed over the years because I was definitely more self-centered. And you know what? It ain't about me. It's about we. So
right.
It's always about we. So speaking of we, I would love, Scott, I'm diverting now just because I'm thinking of it right now. That's why. Okay. I still do have a little bit of this brain fog, this COVID brain fog, but I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people. I've heard some really bad stories. COVID is real. It sucks. Brain fog is a thing, and fatigue is definitely a thing, and being tired all the time is a thing, although I feel really good today. But while I think of this, before I forget to remember, might be the name of my next CD, is we were talking, I was just curious, like when you're sitting down to write, I mean, do you go into a composition thinking, okay, I'm going to write something, or are you like I know I'll have ideas in my head. They're always rhythmic, though. I couldn't write a song to save my life. So, but I can think of rhythms and polyrhythms and all kinds of different, you know, this over that over that. Do you have an idea? And then how does this come to be with you? Generally speaking, you write a song. How do you start the process? How do you go through the process? Do you have a process, or is it just, how does it work for you? Because what you do is so cool and so unique. I just want to know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I you know, it's probably always happening in different ways. I think sometimes melodies or ideas just come to me in my head when I'm doing something completely unrelated. Even if I'm listening to music that I don't like, or that it doesn't do anything for me or whatever, that might literally put some counter thing in my head that I want to work with. Or I'll just sit down at the keyboard and mess around with some ideas. Or I'll start with a rhythm from, you know, I'll generate a rhythm somehow, you know, and just improvise with that and record my improvisation. And then inevitably, like if I'm improvising, at some point I'll play something that would probably be worth repeating. So I'll just go through and edit that, you know, and I'll just take the bits I like from my improvisation. And that way it's kind of pure, you know, it's just what was off the top of your head. Mm-hmm. And then from that point, if I want to develop it, depending on how much I want to develop it, I'll think about, you know, like maybe reharming some sections of it, or but that's like a separate, almost a separate process. But like you know, that's generally how I do it. You know, I just try to like capture the moment, you know, that second, that little impulse that you might get. I try to capture it. So the best way to do that is just to play into my sequencer and get some ideas, you know, going that
He
way.
actually sings it into an ADAT. No, I'm just kidding.
I use only ADAT.
ADAT, yeah.
I'm an only ADAT guy.
Excuse me.
I don't know how Mer does it, because she comes up with these tunes too, which are really great.
Right.
And you know, and she tends to come up with them. I mean, I've had that experience a few times where, you know, she comes up with the melody and a harmony, and, you know, sometimes we just keep the melody, but other times we keep bits of both. But I don't know, how do you come up with?
Yeah, how do you do this, Mer Sal?
I I have either a pad of paper everywhere I go with a pen, or I start as a poet. I'm really a poet, but I'm really, really into the voice and the study of the voice. And so, how can you combine poetry with some weird stretch of the voice? Or what's not really weird in the end. A lot of people do it, but how can I combine my words with a melody that conveys? Sorry, I've got some brain fog. It's not from COVID, I swear. How can you convey what you're saying in the most emotional way? I think that I'm a really emotional person, and I'm working on being more straight-faced and more serious. And so this is really my first really serious sort of themed record, because I've been sort of silly, and I'm really glad to take some of the things I've gone through and having written about them in the moment when things were so deep that they're cutting through you. It's painful.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because some of the people I have spoken with whose music I really enjoy and get emotion from, that, you know, what I like is when I have feelings from what I hear.
Yeah.
That's the music. I mean, it could be excitement, like Song for Barry is
that too. Yeah, excitement
for me. Excitement is that is an emotion, or it's a feeling.
Yeah.
But there's also the mystery of what's ahead. The first time you hear some of this stuff, like, oh, where's it gonna go now? Because Kinsey's doing it, especially. Where's it gonna go, right? But and I love it. But then there's I can listen to some things that I feel emotions that I can't even describe, but I can well up and get really teary. Yet I'm happy, and I might hear pain and joy at the same time from you know, maybe some Alan Holdsworth music, or, you know, other, just whoever. And it seems that they're being 100% authentic, and that's probably they're being themselves. And so, like, Mer, when you're talking about having that pad of paper and getting an idea and writing something down, bits and pieces or whatever, my only advice to you, not that I could give anybody to anybody, don't be too straight.
Well, let's hear it.
Being authentic is so important, and that's one of the reasons we love each of you. You know, it's because you are genuinely yourselves.
Yeah, I think that's
when you hit the microphone and you sing, Mer, it's doesn't matter if it's your song or somebody else's song. It's and Scott, you know what you do when you hit it, boom. So there's a feeling that gets conveyed, and that's. You know, there are a lot of people who can do it, but, you know, I don't listen to the radio or anything. I'm sure there's probably a good song here and there, but most of the stuff, I can't get much from it, and I want to feel something, you know.
Yeah. I think what you described earlier is a key point, that feeling happy and sad at the same time. It's sort of like opposite face, that smile, but it's not really smiling. It's I don't know how to put it. It's a kind of like it's got, I don't know, it's got something inside.
It sort of ties into theater, you know, as it was known always on a stage, you know, before it was televised. Oh. What you want is, that's complex. What you say one thing and you mean another subliminally, you know, and people get it. They get it, but I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah,
some things, you know, it's hard to put words to. There's sometimes where I'll hear a piece and I think, man, he or she must have been going through a lot of pain. But maybe it's right after the pain and they're really happy now. Mm-hmm. And you hear both.
You hear both.
It's like, yeah, I think there's a musical statement, whether it's voice, you know, whatever, guitar, whatever, a group, a composition that I made it through and I'm okay, but did you feel that pain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, right. I mean, I think a lot of Mer's tunes on our record, on our new record, are like that. I think they were born through like immense
chaos
and pain, and
they went through a lot, man.
And I have to say that's about Scott's, you know, Scott's way that he took these is he went in, when he harmonized them, he put his interpretation of the chaos that I'm talking about, you know, in the lyrics. And I mean, it was like total prosody. I don't know.
But I don't want to like if a song is super down, perhaps like in its just cold meaning, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to like pile on more darkness.
No, you can dance to my misery.
Well, in a way, I want to make something on the other side. I want to balance negativity, positivity. So you hear both, not like happy and not like that, but
you know, just
feeling a little optimism, a little hope in there, a little bit of, you know what I mean?
Just as, you know, when somebody is talking about something that's unfortunate, they might have a little humor in it. They might be a little ironic or a little like sarcastic, you know, and Scott builds that with music.
So I love that. And that's yet another testament to the famous old phrase that's so cliche for a lot of people, but I really like it, that music is a universal language. Now, not everyone's going to feel the same thing, of course. They feel it in their own way.
You want everyone to feel the same thing.
Exactly. Yes, thank you. Yeah, there are your own goings on in your life, your own past, your own filters, what that song might remind you of. That's another song that reminds you of what time you went through and whatever, and we're all different. We have a different life behind us. But the universal part of this is so, I feel like as I'm going to turn 60 this year, I'm finally starting to understand music just a little bit, finally.
I hear what you're saying, because the more I know about it, the less I know about it. And sometimes I don't feel like I know anything about it. And,
what?
Well, that's just how I feel. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's that deep and that immense and that wide of an ocean, you know, that, but so you feel like now you're starting to understand a little bit.
I feel like I am, and I don't know much about music theory. I went to music school 40 years ago. I don't remember much. I remember don't do parallel fifths in class. That's against the rules.
But man, those rules, like
parallel fifths,
those rules you can toss out, man.
Yeah, I don't like your rules. But you know, I
play parallel all the time.
You know, that's another thing Steve Hunt said. I love parallel fifths. He says, but you know, in school, you get points knocked off if you're doing something and you're writing out something. But then I remember that from going to school. But you know, I have a little keyboard here I got from it was my dad's before he passed away a few years ago, and I've been messing with it. And you know, I don't know what it is. It's a Yamaha something, and it's actually not bad. It has some kind of cool sounds, and sometimes the sound. Well, you would know better than both of you than I could ever. Any experience I've ever had, but the sounds have a lot to do with conveying that message.
Yeah.
You know, what are you picking on your Nord? What sound? Because whatever it is, it's you, and it's what you're hearing, and oh, so cool.
Yeah, I feel like my Nord is kind of like, I don't know. It's just kind of my voice, you know, I guess. I've had it the longest now, and it's intrigued me, and it still intrigues me. So I guess it's kind of the real thing, like the Nord Lead too.
I love that, man.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah,
and I've got
nice.
like a bank of sound on my personality is in them, you know.
Yeah.
So, what about for each of you then? Improv, like when you're going into a solo. What's going on when you go into a solo? I mean, there's a thought process, of course, there's a structure to a song and all that, but you can take it out, you can do this, you can do that. How does it work? How does it work, Scott, for you? What do you do? Do you ever think about it? Like, are you feeling it mostly in a little bit of thought? Or I didn't even know how to ask the question, actually.
Yeah, well, there's layers to that, because there's the harmony that's going on, and you have to play within the harmony. So if that's an element, then you have to consider that. And you have to get to know it. You know, you have to learn that harmony and learn what is happening in the tune so that you can play on it. That's a given, but that's just the way it is. And then I like the idea of trying to be free or feel free on either changes or a vamp or whatever. And I think playing on a vamp is just as hard as playing on changes. And people that don't really agree with that haven't done it very much, because the second they start to do it, they realize how hard it is. But I think trying to get to be able to, you know, express yourself and phrase naturally, whether you're playing changes or whether you're playing an open form, you know, one chord or two chords or whatever, and trying to make it feel natural. I think that's my biggest thing, is I just want it to feel like it just works, and it flows naturally. I'm not trying to force, you know, too much into it. I don't know how to exactly say that, but that's the idea.
You know, speaking of reharms, by the way, as soon as Jimmy sent me, so there are a couple tunes that I didn't want to have on the CD, right?
Oh, right.
One of them, you and I kind of went back and forth on. It was For a Child. Like,
right.
Nah.
Right.
And then it ends up being like one of my favorites. I mean, holy crap, that came out nice. But the other one is that Jeff really wanted on it, and just because, you know, I love Jeff like a brother, and I couldn't say no to Happy. I don't like that song, man. There's nothing about Happy I ever liked until Jimmy sent me the file and I heard what you did. I'm like, oh, this is freaking insane, man. And you're both on it. And I'm like, she is singing this. This is so great how she's singing it. And whatever you're doing, because I don't understand theory that much, but it's the hippest shit in the world. And I played it for a friend of mine, Ed Vivenzio, who's a big fan of yours here near me. Eddie's like, holy shit, Kinsey does it again. Yeah. So,
when
does he not do it?
That's so funny, because I kind of waited on that tune. You know, I mean, I wasn't super crazy about the way that we played it. I mean, just because we played a standard kind of version of it, and I don't know. And then actually it wasn't until we were actually mixing it when I got that inspiration, you know, and I just said, okay, here we are, we're dealing with this tune now. What are we going to do? I had Mer's vocals, beautiful.
Yep.
I remember this.
What's that?
I remember that. And you were like, it's not quite good enough. And I was like, well, yeah, there's something missing. And I didn't think you were going to do anything to it. And then holy moly, you knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, home run, baby. So you went into the halftime thing is so cool.
But what I liked about it was that it goes a little bit opposite of the way you would expect it to go, because it seems like Well, the core doesn't it start with the chorus, or I don't remember now. But
It
it
might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
Yeah, that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It starts.
I got
Well,
it right.
it goes into the verse, or some way it transitions is kind of opposite from the way you would expect it to. I guess I don't know. It kind of like it starts kind of wide, and then it kind of shrinks down to that. Maybe it's a verse actually, but yeah, I sort of flipped the way that you would normally think about it.
There you go.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break.
Yeah, and then we got to keep playing for a second, guys. Hold on 1 second. And then it goes into this thing. Man. That's like just so hip, man. When I heard that the first time, I was actually laughing, but it was not the kind of laugh like not that it was funny that anybody could.
I get you.
Think of that. Like
you turn that on in your car and you're like,
I'm not going all over the place. I mean, I would have had to pull over if I was driving.
Oh man,
that was great. That's beautiful. Yeah,
and you
the other on that, you've totally just
Mer
Sal. That was so good.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hated that song until that version came out.
Yeah, so like it goes to that chorus actually, and it normally gets bigger in the chorus, but I kind of made it come down and just this groovy kind of like harmony. So yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. Once I got into it, I was like, okay, this is gonna work.
Well, you know that my story about that song is, of course, I didn't want to do it, and
there were several ones on this record I did not want to do. I hate to say that, but like, yeah, that was one of them.
When I heard I was gonna sing "Don't Give Up," I was like, "What? You're resurrecting, really old Peter Gabriel?" I mean, I loved him, but I was like, "How can we do better than Peter Gabriel?" Yeah. I don't know if we did better, but I mean, we sure made it different, and it sure rocked.
Peter needs to hear this version.
That'd be cool.
Well, the thing
Peter, if you're gonna see this, we love you.
Yeah, we do, big time. So I sit down, unhappy, to do the very first take. It's kind of, the shuffly kind of thing, and well, not shuffle, but not straight.
Right.
And so I'm going totally down the self-deprecation boulevard here, because I played so bad that I could barely look any of you in the eyes. I just wanted to leave. I'm like, okay, I'm out.
Oh.
And Jimmy's like, no, it's all good. You know how he is. He'd never say anything. Sweet. If he hated what you did, he'd say how great it was. But we'll just use a different version. So I knew he had to be like, no. So it came out beautiful.
It came out great.
Yeah.
And your drums are totally in there, and that it's great. And the other song that you played on was absolutely beautiful too.
We were able to work with it.
Which was the dream.
Probably the first, the dream. It's like the only song I've really ever not kind of gone back and been pissed about.
That was you.
There's a couple things in there I wish that I had done towards the end. I had a little anticlimactic moment on the second time where I could have done a bigger, better, simple fill, and I just did a half-assed fill. There's this one kick where there's an offbeat on the. I should have hit that. I didn't, but I love that song. I think it came out beautiful. Brandon Fields plays beautifully on that, man.
I thought you did great, Carl.
Thank you.
Brandon played especially amazing on that tune. It was really cool how every song came together in a lot of ways better than we could have imagined, when we were starting,
The intro to that song, what you did there is so cool. And I remember I was with, I think it was Jimmy and Jeff piled into my rent-a-car, and we drove to your house, and we walked in, and check this out. And I'm like, and Jimmy just looks at me. He's like, it was that's one of those moments, man.
And I
one of
love
those
yeah, and I love how Brandon played along with my lines at the end, because it's one thing for keyboard to play at the beginning, but he played at the end, and it sort of made the whole thing make that much more sense to me.
Brandon's the man.
Sounds so good. Yeah, so nice, man. So nice. Yeah, I only saw Brandon once.
I really
saw him with Weckles.
I really
like 25 years ago or something. It was great though. He's a great player.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you were gonna say. I kind of cut you off.
I did a lot of reharmony on that tune as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it, man. There's some great stuff in that.
Thanks.
So when is your project that you're doing now that is close to being done? When do you think that's going to hit so we can buy it, download it and stuff?
Good question. It's almost done. We're going to start. We're actually making some music videos for it now.
Oh, cool.
A lot of the tunes are finished. There's only one song still in process because we just kind of added it about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that's actually a tune by Blondie called Heart of Glass. You might know it.
I know that one. I love that song. I saw her a few years ago here, and I really enjoyed that concert. It's great.
You know what? Ever since I was a kid, I always dug Blondie. It's like as a band, I always thought they were great.
Me too.
Yeah, I just always dug them, and I thought, you know what? Like, of all the tunes, like we should do something with, a Blondie tune.
It was a totally random idea, and I went with it.
Yeah, Mer went with it, and you killed it too, as always.
Thanks. I still think I can always do it again with everything, and I have to have Scott tell me, this is good. Let's keep it.
Yeah, that's something she always wants to redo. But you know what? She often, I think with a lot of great artists, it's true, and with Mer, it's true. The first take or the second, but right at the beginning, you're finding like you're not. I don't know. There's something about the first or second take tends to be the one, and you can think about it more, and you can process it, and you can go back and redo it, but a lot of times, there's just something special about that first one because you weren't thinking about it too much.
Are you talking about the lighter one?
I'm just saying in general, like first, like a lot of the
that was true.
A lot of the record is first, second takes.
It's interesting because in my limited experience with what I've recorded, I don't know, 20 CDs on Monterey or whatever, but still, it seems to be that first one, second, maybe one of those two. That usually is it. And if you get into 7, 8, 9, 20 takes later, forget about it, man. I got to come back a different day because overthinking and getting anxiety and all that. And then I can't feel anything anymore.
Never more than like 3 a day, I think.
Yeah, just to keep track of all that in your mind, it gets to be a little crazy if you have 20 takes. I like to do 16 takes of like background vocals. I'll do that all the time. But
sure. When I met Haslip, I was so prepared to do the song I was doing when he flew to Denver and we did a track. We were doing like a warm-up take and we kept that one.
Oh, cool.
I only did a warm-up in one take.
It wasn't even the first take, it was a warm-up take, and that was the take.
Yeah.
And we kept it. We all agreed it was good enough. It's the best.
Well, some of that stuff, some of those stories are really interesting. Like on I know Peter was telling me on a Don Grelnick album where he just kept playing at the end of a song, and then Michael Brecker comes in and starts playing with him, and then that was it. That was the end of the song. But they did this thing. It was totally unplanned,
Spontaneous.
right? And then there's other stories. I mean, you've probably had it happen where the record is on and you capture something and you didn't mean for that to be the one, and that's the one. And that's like, sometimes that's just the hippest thing because it's the best thing.
Yeah.
You know what? A tune that is where Ralph Towner plays on the Weather Report tune there. Is it the
The Morse.
Yeah, that was from what I think you might have told me this. Somebody told me, you or Peter, that was a warm-up take.
Yeah.
That was a practice take.
Around just to see what he was going to do. And they went, oh, we got it.
You can't have the same sentence more than once. You can't be trying to say the same thing again. You can only say it once.
Yeah.
Right. So you might put all your feeling into that first time, and where you're looking for something too. And there's just something about the way that tends to come out, I think.
Yeah. So
maybe going back to what we were talking about earlier, maybe that's why Peter just did 2 takes.
Yeah.
Let's move on, because he knew that 1 or 2 takes was enough.
Yeah, it was amazing to me. You know, he shows up. He got there before I did that day, a little bit, and he's loading stuff in, helping take in all cymbals and stuff. At 10 o'clock, and you know, I think he was out by 2:30 or 3, and we had like an hour lunch next door at the Mexican place. I mean,
yeah, so that was fun.
It was a lot of fun. So
where'd you go?
What's the name of that place?
Right on the corner, right next door to that Mexican place.
It's next to Taverner's Studio.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know that.
It's in the same little it's in the same building, actually.
Furthest left building there.
Yep.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
Oh no. Before we, I'm in no hurry. I have all day, but I don't want to keep you guys too long. I'll stay as long as you want. But one thing I wanted to ask is, you know, when you're right now, is there anyone you're listening to or anything you're listening to that's really getting you excited? And it's like, oh man, you know, I gotta know more about that, whether it's new, old, anything inspiring you lately.
What about you, Mer?
Well, I'm digging into Weather Report and Miles Davis again, you know, to give it another try, because there's stuff I really missed and didn't notice before. Like the Weather Report Black Market feels like you're in a room. And it's exotic and it's weird and I like it.
I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure.
But you, Scotty?
I can never get tired of listening to Weather Report, and at some point it feels all new again. You know, as many times as I listen to it, God, I put on a record I haven't put on in a while, and it feels like, oh, you know, it feels pretty darn
hip.
New. Yeah, super hip. I don't think it could be improved ever.
Exactly.
It's just incredible the way that they played together. The version of the band with Peter was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Also the one after that with Omar and Victor Bailey and Minu was amazing. And
I was really lucky. I got to see both of those bands, both versions.
Really?
I saw. Actually, I've been talking a lot with Bobby Thomas lately. The past.
Oh right, you were talking with Bobby.
Yeah.
Like maybe a year and a half, we've been talking a lot. Man, that guy is such a sweetheart. My gosh,
I love him. He's a super incredible gem.
He is. And so when I saw Weather Report, I think it was the fall of 1980. Went to Buffalo, Shea Theater, you know, and there's a bunch of us from college, you know, all the drummers went, you know, it's like a carload of drummers going down the thruway. We get there and had a front row balcony seat. It was beautiful seat. And they opened up the song, the concert with Jocko playing drums.
Right.
I think it's 8:30, maybe the title track.
Yeah. This is on YouTube, by the way. Well, I don't know. When they do that.
There are versions of this on YouTube where Jocko's playing. I don't know. I've heard audios. I might have seen video. I can't remember, but I remember that night though. And you know, just to hear Zawinul in person. And those sounds that I love, they're near and dear to my heart and soul, my soul
They're
too.
coming right out of the instruments.
This is like God is in front of me on stage. And then in the second tune, they did this little interlude while Jocko got on bass and Peter comes up and they go, dun, 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 Fast City, right? And they're just smoking that thing. And it was
Totally.
that whole night was unbelievable.
Yeah. And they played, I mean, sometimes they played different things, but they played Sightseeing sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Which sounds like I don't know how much coke they must have done before that.
I love it. I
They
love
played
it.
Volcano for Hire sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was insane. It was so good.
That and that's funny. Yesterday I was just listening to Brown Street because there's just stuff on Brown Street that Zawinul does that kills me.
Yeah. And have you heard any bootlegs of Brown Street?
No,
I have one bootleg of Brown Street that will blow your mind. It's it's incredible.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to search for that. Is that on YouTube? Did you find it?
Yeah, it was on YouTube. I think it was just audio. It wasn't a video, but it was unbelievable. And Peter was just raging. Like, I mean, beyond belief burning on the, and another tune to, like on what's Wayne's tune from Night
Dream Clock? No, that's Jocko's song.
No, Dream Clock I think was Joe's tune, wasn't it? But
yeah, maybe.
Let me think. What was that? Port of Entry, I guess.
Oh yeah.
The way that Erskine was playing, I mean, live especially, was unreal. Just out of control. Amazing.
So this is kind of funny. Bobby Thomas knows this story.
Yeah.
I said, no offense, but when I saw you the first time and I saw a percussion set up on stage, I'm thinking, oh shit, I hope he doesn't get in the way of Peter. Right. Yeah. And of course it was perfect. He almost plays like he's set up like he's doing some kind of a kata in martial arts or something like that.
I believe that he told me that's what his approach is. Like he's actually doing martial arts on the somebody got the cymbal way up high because he goes like, shh.
Yeah. And wax on.
Oh yeah, wax on.
yeah, right.
Sand the floor.
But, so it was really magical that whole night. And the way he played with them, nobody else could have played like that with that version of the band. Bobby was the perfect choice for that. And he got that gig like on a bet. Did you know that?
No.
Jocko bet Joe that it's a really funny story. So Jocko made a bet with Joe. He says, I know a guy, and let's just have him come up to like Connecticut or somewhere, and we'll fly him in. He'll play like tomorrow night. He'll do the gig. I'll get him to do it. And Joe's like, no way. Yeah, I bet you, whatever. He can't do it. It would be very bad. So Bobby calls up. Jocko calls Bobby at like 2 a.m. or something, and he's like, "Hey, what's up? Hey, it's Jocko. It's 2 a.m." He says, "Yeah, but you need to be at a gig. It's a weather report." Like, oh, come on, stop. You been drinking or something? And it's like, no, you gotta. So he come up, no rehearsal, just a sound check. Boom, that was it. And then he started touring right then. It was really what a great story, though. Because the gig on a bet.
There's really nobody that plays like Bobby. Nobody that thinks that openly and that
cannot fill his shoes.
Integrated with the drum set. Again, like I agree with you. Like he never stepped on Erskine. I mean, as far as I know, I don't hear it. He never interrupted ideas or stepped on it, or he just always complimented it with this style that was never. You could never say, oh, he's playing a Latin rhythm there, or he's playing a samba there, he's playing a this and that there. It's always felt like jazz, and it always felt like it's just starting here and going there,
Yeah.
and in the moment and interacting and just finding those little places to put a little something. Never felt random. Like some percussionists are just like, and then never felt like that. It was pretty mind blowing how good he integrated into the group.
It's amazing.
And by the way, I saw a photograph which I had never seen, and it showed Bobby's setup next to Erskine's setup. And Bobby's setup actually is very unique for a percussion player because he had a hi-hat, which I've never ever seen a percussion player with a hi-hat. So he had a hi-hat, he had a bunch of he had bongos and he had congas, but he had a lot of toms. He had cymbals way up high.
Yeah.
It was almost another drum kit. He had the exotic stuff, he had the whistles, he had all those magical tones.
Yeah, that version of the band was super special. It's my favorite band. Pardon?
I never got to see them.
Oh, really? Oh man,
never.
Did you see the band?
I dream of it. I close my eyes and I'm in a theater and it opens up and I see that gear and those guys come out. It's I can't even imagine what it was like.
It was amazing. It was one of the highlights of any musical experience I've ever had. And then the band after that I really enjoyed too, with Victor Bailey and Omar. I saw them in Chicago because I lived there for a couple of years. The intention of going to school there, which I actually never did. I just gigged all the time. But saw them at you ever played the Park West?
No,
Chicago?
but I heard that that's where they played. But I know
that was a cool place because it wasn't too big, but you could draw in a pretty good crowd, and that band was really good, man. They were smoking.
Oh, I know. I've
Domino Theory.
Domino Theory is incredible. I mean, at the time, I think people thought, well, they lost their key group and stuff, but man, they picked up in a way a little bit different place, but just as cool. I guess just because the music was that strong and Wayne and Joe were that strong, but they really brought the best out of Victor and Omar and Minu.
Yeah, they really did. That was another special version of the band. And, Domino Theory is just a masterpiece. You were playing for me too. You were playing the Can It Be Done in the studio. I remember you sitting down and playing that on the piano. I was like, geez, how could anyone even think of that? Like Joe thought of that,
Yeah.
It's so cool. And Carl Anderson did a beautiful job on that tune.
Yeah.
The composer of that song wasn't actually Joe.
Oh, really?
The composer was Willie T. And he's the pianist from New Orleans. And actually, I was going to go to New Orleans one time, and Joe said, yeah, you got to look him up, and I did look him up, and right after that, he passed away. But
okay.
But you better not look anyone else up.
When I don't look people up, that's it for them.
Well, you got to know Joe.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with Joe.
Yeah, that had to be really cool.
That's kind of that's an understatement. It was again, it was almost hard to it's a weird thing. When I first went over there, of course, I saw him from a little bit of a distance in the back of the house, when he was about to walk up, and I just kind of went, wow, am I really here? I guess I am. And I'm incredible already. And little by little, I would stay fairly quiet, but if he asked me something, I would offer whatever I had to offer, and he would just say I think the kid knows a little something, And little by little, he just kept inviting me back until it was time to work on. And I was there from before the albums was started, all the way to the end, and probably over 100 days in a row in the studio.
Wow.
That I got to be there and see actually what really happened, how it really happens.
So which album was this?
That's called Faces and Places. It's the Zawinul Syndicate last studio.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wow. That's great. To be able to, but probably I felt when I walked in the studio and you were there. Is that really Scott Kinsey? Because he's my idol.
Oh, man.
No, seriously, it's how it is though. Like, you know, at the same time though, never diminishing anyone by any means, really more of a compliment. You're also a human. You're both human, you know. We do human kind of things. And
Scott's an alien. He's
an
he's
alien,
beyond
yeah.
human.
I don't think, you know, 15 years ago I could have handled the situation of recording this thing, and I would have been way too starstruck. But
Well,
you know, the timing was what it is, and things worked out beautifully. And it's interesting though, you know, hearing. I love to hear stories, like, because I'm such a fan of so many, you know, bands throughout, you know, 60s, 70s, you know, Mahavishnu and all that. Gary Husbands told me stories about Ellen Holdsworth, lots of stories, and one of my idols, and John McLaughlin, and all these various people. And Peter's told me a lot of stories, and you've told me stories, and Jimmy's told me a lot of stories. Some of them are just so funny. Some of the stories are so funny, and things that I can't say right here because I'd probably offend some people, but about certain people. But my gosh, the stories are great, and I find it really interesting to hear about this kind of thing, because as you were talking about, you're in the studio and you're watching Zawinul and it's all going down. You get to know him, and he's a human, right?
Right.
Special
Right.
human,
Right.
but
That's in a way what I was going to explain, because like when I first saw him, I was so just struck by the fact that I was in the same place and that he was, you know, I mean, later as we worked together a lot, I got used to this idea that, you know, that it just became like, oh, it's Joe, and
yeah,
you know, and we worked together all the time. And then every once in a while I would go, oh, wait a minute, that's the guy who thought of all that, you know, who came up with all that music, and who just has those type of thoughts. But in one way, it was super cool because we could actually relate on a deeper level, because I had listened so much and I knew so much of the music, and I had my own thoughts too. So like we could actually really communicate almost better. But yeah,
so cool.
But anyway, like sometimes I would just kind of go, oh, holy shit, wait a minute, that's Joe Zawinul. That's not, you know.
Yeah.
It's a total dream.
Yeah, it's a bit like a dream. Now that it, you know, Joe has passed away, and a lot of times a little bit like,
yeah, this was a dream too.
Really happened, you know?
So,
what's that?
This was a dream for me.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just, I love it. I love it. I love, you know, it's funny, I'm a little diverting here, but I was various friends I've spoken with say, hey, you were out recording, and what'd you do? And there's this lady in Texas who's a real big fan of Tribal Texas. You got to tell me everything about Scott Kinsey and Jimmy Haslip, because she's also a Jackets fan, right? I said, well, yeah. I mean, it's just really interesting because she, and actually she's in Austin. I think she's near the drummer. Who's the drummer? I forget his name.
Wackerman?
No, the guy
in Austin.
Tribal Tech.
Oh,
Kirk Covington.
Yeah.
I thought you said somebody in Austin, and I was like, well,
is he in Austin?
Tribal Tech.
He was in Austin.
Kirk is in Austin. Yeah, Kirk is.
He has a house in LA too.
Half in Austin.
Okay, yeah, because she's in Austin and she'll go out here and play all the time, and she's
right.
So she was right up. She's like, okay, I gotta have this CD, but it's just cool because you've all done so much great stuff, and really, you know, I look at it like this: you've made a really big difference in a lot of people's lives because of that feeling that you convey, that music with that message and that feeling, and you know that's something that's really special. And I think especially now. I don't know if this is true or if it's just how I feel about it is true. I think it's getting to be more difficult to really express your own individual voice because there's so much that has come before us.
Yeah.
Like as a drummer, I mean, what can I do that's uniquely me?
Well,
I'm not sure exactly, and that's why I took a few years off.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you need to take time away to get perspective, to get to find your balance, or to find to realize what you have to offer, like to realize what's special about what you do, or I often wonder that, but I think what it comes down to is just your personal way of looking at the music and looking at what it is that you're going to create. It's your way, your viewpoint, you know, is really what it comes down to. Because, man, pianists before me, there's just all the great pianists in the world, from Oscar Peterson, Art Tatum, to Keith Jarrett, to whoever, Wynton Kelly, to whoever. Those guys were all unbelievable, and I feel like better pianists than I'll ever be. But I also see things my own way. I also see things just the way I see them.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do.
I think that's really what it comes down to, like what you really have to offer as a musician. And it's sort of like what you have to offer as a human being. Just your personal way of looking at stuff is the key thing about it.
Well, really good point. It's, you know, that authenticity factor is a really big deal when you're trying to when you're making your own music. It's a big deal. If you want to make a statement anyways, it's different. You know, you got to be yourself.
Yeah. I wouldn't know how to not make a statement, I guess, but yeah.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with copying. I mean, I think, speaking for myself and a lot of people I know, we all have. I was trying to be Buddy Rich when I was 10. I wanted to be Billy Cobham. So my English teacher called him Billy Cobham, and he called Chick Corea. But I wanted to be Peter Erskine.
You know what? When I was a kid, they used to call Jocko Yako in my home. Because nobody knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody knew he was Yako. And we're talking about sports. It was just like, oh, Yako, this, you know.
Sure, that actually makes sense, you know, based on certain languages and how the J's are and all that. But, you know, and I wanted to be Lenny White. I would even set up like Lenny or Billy with a right-handed kit with a left-handed ride just to try, and then I would switch back because that was so bad. But you know, but those influences come Elvin, you know, then I discovered Elvin, and everything changed. Changed. And Tony Williams, everything changed, you know, and Chad Wackerman and Vinny and Virgil, all these people. So if I ever come out with an actual musical statement, I think it'll be uniquely me finally, instead of trying to be somebody else.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like what you played on the Dream was very much you.
You know, thank you. You know what? I felt really comfortable with that. Part of it is that I love the song, and it felt right.
But there are no technical things or anything that interrupts your playing. It's very.
That's because I have no technique.
No, you do, but in other words, there's nothing about it that interrupts the flow of the music or that makes you go like, oh, did he mean that? Or, you know what I mean? Like it's all relatively, I would say, perfect, because I don't know if there's a such thing as perfect, but it feels perfect to me. It feels, I don't know.
I gotta agree with Scott. I mean, you did the right thing
at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, so there's the one fill. Well, there's a couple, and they're real simple. And it was like the last millisecond before
that you thought about.
I did that, and I wasn't even like one full beat away before it just came to me. It's like,
oh yeah.
And then I looked, and I could see in the control room, Jimmy's like, yeah. And that made me feel good. And so, you might have made a gesture too.
Like you kicked it up a little bit after that.
And it just came to me in an instant by accident, and
it's brilliant. It's a part of the song.
It's like maybe the best, not that I ever say that I did anything well musically, but might be the best 6 notes I ever played.
they're captured on the record. So that's beautiful.
But I'm happy with my spontaneity on that, and that it actually worked.
Yeah.
But I had great inspiration from so many people, you know. So, yeah, so I asked the question I wanted to ask you. We were talking about what you're listening to, and a lot of the old stuff becomes new again.
Yeah.
We know you have a project. I'm sorry.
Well, we're listening to whatever we're working on, of course.
Mhm.
But just want to see what else we're listening to. Like I listen to Umo Sangare quite a bit. The
Queen.
Yeah, we've been listening to Queen lately because
Oh,
they're
cool.
incredible. We watched the movie and that's amazing. And
Gotta see
and
that
the
movie.
band was really special. And you know, Freddie Mercury. I mean, jeez,
He's
The one
like
and
in my
only.
top.
he's incredible. So we
Yeah.
were listening to him. I still listen to Miles Davis all the time.
Mhm.
But Umu, go back to Umu.
Yeah, Umu's beautiful.
Amazing.
Listen to like Wika sometimes. I worked with her a little bit.
Mhm.
Who else? Laura Mavula is great.
Yeah. I like her reharms. Like, who does that? Does she do that? I mean,
I don't know.
What's the name again?
Laura Mavula. She like lives in England or South Africa. I'm not sure. She has an accent.
Okay.
I think she's from London.
She's
I
from
gotta check
London,
her
yeah.
out.
I guess she was like a copyist or something for a while, and then she came out with her first album, and it really
That's cool.
she's got two or three records now, but they're great, really, and they're different. They're all different too. What else?
Phoebe Snow.
Yeah, that's one of your favorites.
It's mine, yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, stuff like that.
Well, when do you think? I know I probably asked this already, and you might have answered. I don't remember everything. Your project. Any idea of time frame when we might can expect to see
I would
this?
say March or April. I think it'll be released.
Cool.
Mhm.
Are you going through any particular label on this, or like will it be on all the downloadable and stream? You can buy it, stream it.
I think it'll be easy to find.
Okay.
But
Mhm.
I don't know which label it'll be on. I'm gonna shop it now actually, and I mean I was kind of hoping that maybe Whirlwind would take it because they did We Speak Looney-Waz, which was
Yeah, I love that.
my last record. So it'd be kind of nice if they took it. And the label boss Michael Janish is a bass player. He played on one tune, and I was hoping he would play on two. Maybe he will. We don't know yet.
Mhm.
But so I mean, you know, he might be into taking it. If not, I'll just start looking around at some other labels. You know, there's always a slight chance I'll release it myself, but I don't know. I don't know about that. I think I'd rather have it be on a label.
Mhm. Yeah, it's
But I think we have a title, right? I mean, do we have a
yeah.
title?
That's.
I think we do.
I was wondering about that. Do you have a title?
Yeah, I think we're
Can
gonna.
we say it?
Yes, it could change, maybe, but
Right now, are we thinking adjustments?
Oh, cool. So that may adjust. Bad
May
pun.
adjust,
Yeah.
but it might be called.
But it might be called adjustments. That's cool.
I think,
Great.
I think that's the
Yeah.
name.
Scott's
I like it.
manager came up with it.
Awesome.
Yeah, we had come up with another title, and then he just said, "Well, or you could call it adjustments," and we kind of went, It's pretty good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. How'd you
Yeah,
come up
okay.
with that? It's great.
That's cool.
Well, no, Gene, the artist who did our cover, or you know, we're going to use a piece of her art for our cover.
Mhm.
One of the pieces was called that, and it sort of inspired. I
Oh,
guess.
that's
Oh.
right. I forget. Yeah, so I didn't put that together actually, Scott.
Mhm.
That's cool. Well, hopefully down the road too. Well, at some point, we're gonna travel and all that kind of stuff, and I get to see you guys, meet you in person, Mer Sal,
Come
Yeah.
visit.
an actual face to face, and
Yeah.
I really want to just come out there, just
Me
visit
too.
some friends and hang out.
Yeah, we got to go
to
back.
LA. Yeah,
Come to
and,
LA and we'll get some really good food.
yeah, that Thai place we went to that one night, man, that was really good. That was
That's my
good stuff.
Did you take him to Kenara?
Yeah, right. It was you, Jeff, Jimmy, and me.
Mhm.
That was
Jeff will never
delicious.
pass that up.
No, he
Jeff
loves
was
that
there all
too.
the time.
Yeah, he was. Jeff is. I love him, and he doesn't always have a lot of expression. But if
Right.
you mention that place to him, you see
likes
his
it.
eyes light up.
You
He's like, "Oh,
smile.
yeah, let's go! Come on!"
He's always down for that place. Yeah. Sometimes he'll just call me and go, "Hey, you want to go get lunch?" I'm like, "I know where, what time."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great, man. I love it.
And with
Well,
Jimmy, it's all good.
It's always rock the house.
Rock the house.
He says,
Jack,
Well, this-
what was
I'll be over with some flat whites, you know.
jackets required?
Yeah, that's great, man. Well,
man.
I really this has been really fun, and I appreciate so much both of you taking the time
Oh,
to
it's
come on and get on Zoom and hang out and record what we talk about and share it. We'll share it with the world here.
There's always
so-
time for that.
Yeah,
we've
especially
been
right now.
meaning to do it for a while, so I'm glad we finally got it together.
Yeah, life gets in the way. Half the time I'm having to like make adjustments in my schedule for because I've had so many clients, some people I'm working with not even so much Parkinson's as cognitive decline, getting referrals from this one particular doctor. So it like just been slamming until I got COVID. I haven't gone back to actually work yet, other than a few Zoom sessions. But next week I'll hit slowly going back because the fatigue is real. But you know, I've had to make a lot of it. So finally, I was able to have time. It's like, okay, before I get back to work, we got to get Scott and Mer on. So yeah.
So how do you deal with people that are they're dealing with cognitive decline?
What are the secrets?
You know, it's actually more simple than you would think. So, for example, just getting people moving, like get up and move, get up and walk. That in and of itself is a thing that, you know, gets your heart rate going, even if it's just a little bit more. It's blood and oxygen to the brain. And, you know, especially now, a lot of people aren't, especially if they're up here and, you know, where there's snow and everything, and, you know, maybe you don't want to go outside. Right. But if you can do something and get moving, it's a great thing. But I also play a lot of different, I gamify just about everything I do with people. I don't have my gear here with, well, I do have this one thing I'll show you. It's really cool. I can't really turn it on because I haven't used it in a month. And it takes a minute to get set up. But for example, I have these, maybe you can see this, these lights. There's 6 lights, right? And they come out, Velcro on the back. So I have these different things. I'll stick the lights on them. I turn the lights on, and then they're all controlled from my phone. And we can do a lot of different things with it. We put them on the floor. I might have, I have this big thing where I'll have like, you know, 5 lights on the thing, or maybe put 3 up there and 3 on this thing on the floor that won't slip. And then the lights start flashing, and your job is to like, boom, 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 feet, hands, or, you know, right hand red. Every time you see red, you do right hand. You see blue, left hand. You do that, do a couple rounds, and then your brain gets into thinking that, and like, okay, now right hand blue, left hand red, and everybody screws it up, including me. But it's good for increasing, I should say, activating more brain activity. It's a cognitive form of training called, well, it's reactive training. How fast can you do it? How accurately? How many can you get in 1 minute? You know, I can set it up for any kind of time frame I want. And then, you know, they all light up at the end and make a big sound, and it's fun. You can set them up around the room and have people sprint to them. Some people can move pretty well. Memory games, I might give them, you know, a couple words, like 3 words, like, you know, corn, yellow, Mustang, just for the heck of it, or cucumber, green, Cadillac. And okay, remember those words, say them back, boom, go do this. I've got this thing you can put around your head, and it's got a string and a ball, and you hit it, and maybe you're jumping through something, or you're walking over these hurdles that are only like 6 inches tall, but you're moving sideways, maybe you're doing cross step patterns. So it really all comes down to thinking, short chunks, short bouts of hyper focus. How well can I do this while I do that and maybe something else. I've had people do things like always trying to come up with new stuff, but you know, they may be just walking sideways or jumping sideways through an agility ladder or walking across hurdles while we're playing catch with the ball, and they're, you know, saying the alphabet backwards. I say, oh, what's the capital of Texas? Austin. Spell it. Great, spell it backwards. And or do count by sevens from 0 up, and then no, stop. Now go backwards by 3s or 6s, or it's maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes hyper focus while you're doing this stuff. And what happens is these neural firing patterns, these synaptic firing patterns between neurons, they fire, and the more they fire together, they wire together. So that basically what happens is you have increased brain activity in Parkinson's and some other movement disorders. We can actually get people moving better because they're practicing multitasking. And so the better they get at doing things with me, it transfers out the door, so that when they're in real life and they get distracted, they're less likely to fall. I mean, we just work on like walking sometimes, like trying to make it a nice rhythmical, not a shuffly walk, nice an 8th note walk, you know, because shuffly walks are always bad. It means there's something wrong. And so really just moving and thinking, and trying to do reactive training. What can we do? You know, learning a new instrument. Or I just interviewed a gentleman recently who wrote this, The End of Alzheimer's, and then this just came out. I met him in New York at a Maria Shriver function a couple of years ago. He's in SoCal. He's in your area, in Southern Cal, not Colorado. And he talks all about how the brain can change itself. I mean, I already know this anyways, but he goes into how he deals with it with, as it says here, reversing cognitive decline. This is really could be just, this is for anyone. Anybody can do the stuff in these books. And then I didn't plan on talking about any of this, and then my book came out. So, I mean, I should send you one. But it's all, you know, it's about Parkinson's, but all the intervention strategies, it's for everybody because we all have nervous systems and a brain. So, you know, learning a
You're
new
incredible.
Thank you. So it's
Learning
my improv, you know. I feel like the things that I come up with are a form of improv. You know,
Yeah.
Go hop through
Indeed.
that on one leg sideways while we play catch, and you start singing the Mixolydian scale for me in B, and I'll give you the pitch pipe. So, you know, I mean, it's an improv of sorts, I guess. It allows for creativity, and I'm finding that I'm much better creating this way than I am on a drum set, although that could change over time.
Yeah. Well,
Bobby,
You're very creative, and you're creating in a way that helps people, and that's big.
thank you. By the way, so Bobby Thomas and I are talking about doing like a musical project together, and it really has to do with healing more than anything. I love that guy, man. I love him. But this book is like the best book ever. And it's written, it's like a textbook. A little pricey, like $50-something, but it's a handbook of neurological music therapy. And I got to tell you, man, I love this book because it doesn't talk only about Parkinson's. There's maybe one chapter out of 25 chapters or something, but autism, Parkinson's, this, that, just depression, but how music changes the brain, because it does change the brain. And when you're creating the music, and it talks about this in detail with research, you know, citations, and you know, I want to go in and get everything in the bibliography and read it too. It'd take me forever, but when you're creating, then there's a lot of good stuff that's happening up here health-wise for brain health. So the two of you are going to live forever because your brain, you're creating all the time. It's really cool stuff. I just, as you can probably tell, I get really excited about it, but it's because it's cool to me, and it's opens up doors for people to do new things and move better and improve quality of life. So I like it.
In a couple years, we're going to need your help. So You better stay alive.
Stay alive and stay healthy so you can help us out later.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to come and hang out. I don't know if I can help you, but we can have some fun.
Bring the light game, because I think we could have really a lot of fun, and we could podcast that and show what you're doing.
We should, man. I tell you, that game is, there's so much you can do with the lights. And I think I'm probably going to get a second set because I can go up to 12 lights controlling it from my phone. It's all operated by an app. And like, it would be really super cool. I have a father and son. I trained together. The father's 86, the son's, maybe mid 50s. And I get both of them doing this. Maybe the dad might be punching the lights that are punchable while the son is doing the ones on the floor. So you got to be ready for your light. Hit it as fast as you can, or I set them all on the floor on this thing, and we'll have like one color for dad and for dad's right foot, another color for his left foot. Same thing with the son. So you got 4 colors going on, but you remember what your color is and hit it with the right foot, or the correct foot. And we laugh a lot. Yeah. It's fun.
Wow.
I bet. We bet.
Well, somehow I got to figure out how to play the damn keyboard.
Hey, leave me something.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, that's your.
Well,
singing will never happen for me, so don't worry, Mer Sal. I'll never be singing.
Well, I think people really underestimate singing and how easy it is. Well, I don't know, but it's something you can do anywhere you are. So if you're ever like locked in a cell or lost on an island, that's when you need to explore it.
Well, I'll probably never. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. I think it takes a lot of courage, especially for certain people, to sing, and I haven't developed that courage yet.
Me neither. Once in a while, I mean, I sing to my vocoder, but I don't.
I try to get Scott to participate in singing games with me, but he often rejects the request, which makes me very sad.
Well, we have to learn to accept disappointments in life.
But he does. Make no mistake, he does it.
I do it once in a while.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been a blast. And I really, I want to thank you both again so much for joining me. It's really good to see you again, Scott. It's good to meet you finally, Mer.
Good to meet you, like talk on a video, and I hope to meet you in person in LA.
Absolutely. At some point it'll happen.
Yeah. Get this COVID out of the way and we can be humans again.
Yeah.
It's quite clear that you're a wonderful person. And I'm sorry if I give a lot of compliments, but I think you deserve them, and keep up the good work with your Parkinson's and mental decline training.
Thank you. I want to go to the baked potato again. I had the biggest potato of my life there.
I've never had one of their potatoes, actually. But
Jeff and I went down when I was out there on the first trip, I think, to see Jimmy with Lorber.
Yeah.
And Steve Haas was on drums. And it was a really beautiful, tight trio. And the potato was gigantic. And the vibe, though. What a cool place.
It's a really cool place.
Yeah.
And you've actually sang there, right? I think I saw a video of you singing, and maybe Garrigo, maybe, or Gary, maybe.
Gary Novak.
Yeah.
The Gary Novak.
God, that guy. I have a video of him just warming up in the studio that just, it floors me what the guy what he thinks of and what he does. He's just so great. And he's fun.
Yeah, Gary is one of the funnest people.
Yeah.
We love Garrigo too.
Yeah, I haven't met him yet. We communicated a little. We might jump on a Zoom one of these days. But yeah, I should probably, as Alan Holdsworth would say, carry on, because I have to go do some things.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been great to talk to you.
Hey,
it's been great.
Both of you. I love you both so much. Thank you for everything you did to help me.
Thank you.
And wherever my CD is, This is a dream for me. It really is. And I appreciate everything so much. So
Thanks, Carl.
we'll stay
You
in
made
touch.
our dream. Thank you so much, Carl.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm really
Have a
happy
great
for both
day.
of you. Yeah, you too. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Mer.
See you.
And we'll talk to you. Okay. Yes. All right. We'll be in touch soon. All right.
All right.
Okay. Au
Yeah,
revoir.
you take. All right.
Ciao, amigo.
You got it.
Adios.
Adios. Hasta luego. Bye bye. See you later, bud. Bye bye.